Hey everybody, I'm Hazard, and if you know anything about me, you know I absolutely love zombies of all kinds, especially pretty girly pop zombies. So for this video, I'll be showing you how I made 3 of my most recent adoptable ponies, all of which are floral zombie themed. To start, let me first mention that this is the first time I'm attempting to do a voiceover for any of my videos, so sorry if it's kinda shitty. I started making these designs after I made and fell in love with this pony on Ponytown. I loved her so much that I decided I need to make as many of these babies as I possibly could, all themed around specific flowers or biomes. I already knew that I wanted these in my Ko-fi shop for adopting, so I wanted to make sure that I started classic with roses. Up until this point in the speed paint, you can kind of see me trying to work out how I want the adopt sheet layout. I always make sure to include a headshot and full body for the character, as well as space to put their Ponytown sprite. Now, before I continue, I want to drop a bit of a disclaimer. You cannot sell Ponytown skins themselves. However, after I spoke to the PT devs about my method of selling pony adopts, they gave me the okay to advertise and sell adopts as long as I emphasize the fact that the skins are only included as a free gift. Oh, but Hazard, you can just lie and still include the skins in the price. Well, yeah, I could, but my goal with how I make my pony adopts is sort of to indirectly support Ponytown and its devs. You see, if you're playing Ponytown for free, you're gonna eventually run out of skin slots. And if you're anything like me and my friends from Ponytown, that simply isn't gonna fly. So the more people that adopt pony characters, the more skin slots they'll eventually need. This, paired with the fact that I make sure all my pony adopts can be made accurately with PT's limited character design options, makes people feel more inclined to eventually pay for supporters. It's a win for me, a potential win for the PT devs, and hopefully a win for whoever likes collecting OCs out there. With that out of the way, let's get back to this design. Something that I love a lot about this first design is how her color scheme gives off a cold, wet, and dreary vibe. The different shades of pink and purple give a hint of warmth to the character, breaking up the design nicely. I honestly think the hardest part of making these was making sure that the roses look, like roses. I actually struggle drawing flowers a lot, so references and tutorials were my best friend when designing these. Now, you may be asking yourself, why the fuck would you choose to do multiple designs with something you struggle so much with? And the answer is really simple. As an artist, you should face struggles in order to improve. Lately, my goals for my art are all about improvement. For months, I felt like my art has been feeling bland, too much of the same things over and over again. In reality, while facing something you struggle with in art can be exhausting, the results are why you should do it. After I finished my first 3 flower zombies, I felt a lot more pride in my work. They were adopted quickly, and the composition of the flowers, vines, and leaf details made the character feel complex and elegant. Now is time for the portion of the speed paint where I start focusing on laying out the flat colors. This is another major reason I start all pony designs on Ponytail. While the character design interface seems very simple at first, if you learn to break down each and every section of the pony, you can end up with some awesome shading and detail work. I use this as a precursor for my coloring process, color picking directly from the PT skin, and creating gradients wherever necessary. That being said, for designs with as many details as this, you have to be kind of creative. For example, it's obvious that a lot of the flowers on the Ponytown skin are just 1 or 2 pixels of color. But seeing them side by side, it becomes obvious what those 1 or 2 pixels are meant to be. As for the leaf and vine placement, I try hard to think about how exactly the vines would drape over the character's body if she was a 3D object as opposed to a 2D pixel pony. Honestly, I think that the thought process is one of my favorite parts to these designs because they end up adding a whole new level of depth to the character as a whole. Something else I really like about this design is the limited amount of classic zombie gore. It's obvious she's still undead with her glazed over eyes and flowers literally bursting from her limbs and body, but she's very classy, very demure, very mindful of her bloodshed. It was at this point in the process of her character sheet that I realized I completely forgot to do any of the line art or coloring for the headshot, which threw my brain into a whirlwind at the time. If you're anything like me, once you're done with a specific step in the drawing process, you're done. You move on to the next part, then the next. For me, this helps my flow and keeps me from becoming overwhelmed or worrying about consistency. Luckily, after some mild bitching and moaning to myself about making such a rookie mistake, I felt like I was cooking on this piece. So one monster later, I started the line art for the headshot. In all honesty, the forward-facing view of any pony design is the most challenging for me. It's kind of hard for me to translate the angle change without making it look somewhat uncanny. But again, you only learn by doing, so it's a super essential step in my mind. I think I've definitely gotten better with it, but I'm sure it'll still be a bit of a struggle depending on the design. So far, the ones I've done for the flower zombies are pretty cute in my opinion, but I have a feeling they're gonna get really challenging with some of the other designs I haven't started drawing yet. Once everything for the headshot is laid out and the flat colors are placed, it's kind of a straightforward dash to the finish line from here. I do the shading and highlights, make sure everything is consistent, then I do a simple background to tie the character sheet together. For my adopts, I love having backgrounds that match the theme for sets like this. I decided to include a color palette reference for this one because one of my best friends had already fallen in love with the character, and I wanted to make sure she would be able to have a detailed reference in case she ever wanted to get art made of her. I haven't fully decided if I want to continue including these color palette references, but I'm leaning towards it because I personally think it makes the character sheet look very cohesive, though I've heard some people say they feel it makes it look too busy. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for watching if you made it this far. I'll be continuing with the next design in part 2, so if you like this design, consider leaving a like and subscribing. Bye!